Something is flying over Chicago. It moves at night. It appears above the city's most familiar landmarks. It has been seen near the shoreline of Lake Michigan, over the Chicago River, above highway overpasses, and perched on the rooftops of residential neighborhoods. Dozens of people have reported encounters with it. Among them are retired police officers, long-haul truck drivers, aviation workers, and ordinary residents going about their evenings. Every single one of them describes the same thing. A large, dark figure with enormous wings. A body shaped like a person but scaled much bigger than any human. Eyes that burn a deep, fixed red. In 2017, the city of Chicago became the center of one of the most concentrated and documented waves of cryptid sightings in modern American history. Over 50 individual reports were logged within a single calendar year by professional investigators, paranormal researchers, and national organizations dedicated to tracking the unexplained. No explanation has ever been confirmed. The files are still open on what has become known as the Chicago Mothman. Reports of a large, winged, humanoid figure in the Chicago area began circulating in 2011. These early accounts were scattered. They were filed quietly and received little attention outside of cryptozoology circles, but they established a pattern that has become clear in retrospect. A retired police officer named David Ramos submitted an account that went back further still. He reported an encounter he experienced as a 12-year-old near the North Branch of the Chicago River. His description matched the reports that would come decades later. A shadowy, winged, humanoid presence, something that did not behave like any animal with a name. The early 2011 and 2012 reports that trickled in to investigators shared a geographic preference. The sightings leaned toward the waterways, the lakefront, and the river corridors. It was also seen in the open industrial belts where Chicago's density broke down into rail yards and warehouse land. It appeared at the margins of the city, at the edges between dense human activity and open sky. Investigators who studied the geographic pattern noted that this preference for water and open transitional zones matched the behavior described in other winged humanoid flaps around the world. Whatever the thing was, it appeared to move along natural corridors the same way migratory animals do. In August of 2016, a United States Postal Service Union official named Joseph Palau was in Chicago for a convention. He was staying at a hotel when he looked out his window and saw the creature. He filed a report with paranormal investigator Lon Strickler describing a large, dark winged figure in the air outside the building. In the autumn of 2016, other accounts emerged from the broader Chicagoland region. A woman near the town of Whitewater in southern Wisconsin reported a man-like figure with wings she described as resembling those of a pterosaur. The creature glided across a highway. She submitted the report and investigators logged it alongside the growing Chicago area cluster. None of these 2016 accounts attracted wide media attention. That would change the following year. In February 2017, a man driving on Interstate 294 on the outskirts of Chicago observed what he initially took to be a person standing near the road. Then, the figure unfurled wings. It became a large, dark bird-shaped form and lifted into the air. The driver reported the encounter to paranormal investigators and gave a consistent account whenever he was questioned. In March, multiple witnesses in the suburb of Tinley Park reported a massive winged being perched on a rooftop. The accounts came from separate individuals who did not appear to be coordinating their stories. The figure was described as large, dark, and upright before it spread its wings and departed. No conventional bird species native to the Illinois region would produce the silhouette these witnesses described. A semi-truck driver also filed a report in March. He had been driving on a Chicago expressway when he spotted a flying humanoid above the highway. He followed the standard reporting process and filed with investigators. What distinguished his report was a detail he included about his own physical condition in the days following the sighting. He said he experienced unexplained medical symptoms he could not attribute to anything else. Investigators logged the detail and flagged it for comparison with other cases in which proximity to an unexplained aerial entity was followed by physical effects in the witness. That particular detail has a parallel in the original Mothman accounts from Point Pleasant, West Virginia. On April 7th, a woman was walking her dog in Oz Park, a public park on the north side of Chicago. The time was approximately 9 in the evening. The park was not empty, but it was not crowded. She was moving along a path when she became aware of a figure near a park bench. It was standing and was approximately 7 feet tall. It had wings folded against its body. Its eyes were glowing red. It appeared to watch her. Her dog, which she noted was generally reactive and vocal, went completely silent. The animal pressed against her leg and would not move. Animal behavior during close-range Mothman encounters had been a consistent detail in the Point Pleasant accounts as well. Pets going quiet, dogs refusing to move or bark, livestock behaving strangely. The creature in the park spread its wings. It lifted from the ground and rose straight up into the air without any visible effort. She ran and filed a report the following morning. Investigators considered her account one of the more credible in the file. Later in April, a second witness reported a sighting near the Adler Planetarium on the museum campus along the lake. This individual described a massive, dark, winged entity with glowing red eyes that matched the description from Oz Park. The witness estimated the creature's height at 7 feet at minimum. They described it as moving in a straight line at a speed inconsistent with any bird. They noted the red eyes before anything else. The same sequence of details: the eyes first, then the body, then the departure. 2 different people. 2 different locations on opposite sides of the calendar month. The same creature. In August, a woman named Erin Drain was near the docks at Burnham Harbor along the Lake Michigan shoreline south of downtown. She heard something unusual. Then she looked up. What she saw flying low over the docks she described initially as a large black bat. But she continued describing it, and the additional detail is what investigators found significant. The figure had what she specifically called humanoid features: pronounced arms, clearly defined legs, a body that did not move the way a bat's body moves. She was close enough to register these details with confidence. This was not a distant shape against a bright sky. This was a close-range observation over water on a clear August evening. In the West Town neighborhood, another witness was spending an afternoon on a rooftop when an object appeared in the sky. She watched it for an extended period. The primary detail she fixed on was not the shape, though the shape was unusual enough. It was the movement. The figure was not being moved by the wind. Whatever was in the sky above West Town that afternoon was not riding thermals, not drifting, not behaving the way anything biological and airborne normally behaves. It moved in a controlled, self-directed line. Slowly, she said, but on its own terms, not randomly. On August 22nd, a long-haul truck driver in the southwest suburb of McCook reported a bat-like creature with a wingspan he estimated at 12 feet. Within the same 24-hour period, a separate individual in McCook reported a flying creature in the Mothman mold over Pulaski Road inside the city. On August 27th, a retired police officer in the Forest Park neighborhood filed a report describing what he called a dark gargoyle perched near his location before taking flight. He specifically used the word gargoyle. He noted the red eyes. He was a former law enforcement professional with years of experience observing and describing things accurately under pressure. He filed the report without apparent hesitation about how it might be received. In October of that year, a witness in the Fulton Market area gave an account that captured the raw confusion of encountering something with no obvious category. He said he first thought it was a bird. The more he watched it, the less that explanation held. He described the size as wrong, the wing motion as wrong, and then he said something that investigators noted for its unguarded quality. He said, "What the hell is that thing?" Paranormal investigators from all over the region were teaming up to figure out what this thing was. They shared information, compared witness details, and between them assembled something close to a comprehensive record of an unexplained event in a major American city. Even MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, received reports through its standard submission channels and contributed to the public record of these incidents. Maps were drawn and analyzed, and a specific pattern emerged. The sightings were not evenly distributed across the city. They concentrated in corridors, the stretch of lakefront from the museum campus north through the near north side, the waterways associated with the Chicago River and its branches, the southwest corridor toward the suburbs of McCook, Forest Park, and Tinley Park, This was a creature or an entity that moved along specific lines through the city. Not randomly, not everywhere at once. It appeared to favor certain passages and avoided others entirely. Neighborhoods with dense, tall building cover had fewer reports. Open areas, water-adjacent zones, and low-density transitional neighborhoods between industrial and residential land had more. There were also comparisons to the more famous creature known as the Mothman. Between November 1966 and December 1967, more than 100 residents of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, reported encounters with a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes. The sightings concentrated around an area on the outskirts of town known as the TNT area, a decommissioned World War II munitions production site where abandoned igloos and overgrown structures created a landscape that investigators consistently described as strange. On December 15, 1967, the Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed during the evening rush hour. 46 people were killed. The collapse was later attributed to a fractured suspension eye-bar in the chain, but the timing was not lost on anyone who had been following the Mothman reports. The sightings stopped almost immediately after the bridge fell. Journalist and researcher John Keel investigated the Point Pleasant events extensively over several years and published his findings in the 1975 book The Mothman Prophecies. Keel argued that entities like the Mothman may function as harbingers of disaster, precursors, signs that appear in an area before catastrophe arrives and then vanish when the catastrophe has come. Keel also noted something else in his Point Pleasant research that later investigators brought forward when the Chicago accounts accumulated. Several Point Pleasant witnesses reported that their encounters were accompanied by physical sensations: disorientation, nausea, temporary vision problems after seeing the creature's eyes. Some reported interference with their vehicles, their televisions, and their phones in the period surrounding their encounters. The semi-truck driver in Chicago who reported medical symptoms following his March 2017 sighting on the expressway sits in this same category. His account was specific about the sequence of events. He saw the figure. The figure departed. In the days that followed, he did not feel right. Investigators noted the echo. In Point Pleasant, the sightings were geographically concentrated and lasted a specific, bounded period. In Chicago, the sightings spread across a much larger urban area and tapered rather than stopped sharply. Whether the Chicago Mothman was a warning, and if so, a warning of what, remains unanswered. The conventional explanations offered for the Chicago sightings is misidentification of large birds. Chicago sits along the Mississippi Flyway, one of the major migratory corridors in North America. Large bird species are present in the region in significant numbers, but birds like the great horned owl or turkey vulture do not display the human characteristics this creature does. Custom drones fitted with lighting, including red LEDs, have been proposed as an explanation for some of the higher altitude and more distant sightings. A sophisticated custom build could appear large and unusual in flight. This is a plausible explanation for a narrow subset of the reports. It does not explain 7-foot-tall creatures or a retired police officer describing a perched, dark gargoyle with visible red eyes before it took flight. Psychological contagion has also been proposed. The idea is that once a sighting story circulates publicly, people begin to interpret ambiguous aerial shapes through the lens of the story they have heard. An unusual bird becomes a Mothman when the cultural template is already in place. This argument has genuine weight, but it does not account for the sightings that predate any significant media coverage. The 2011 reports and the 2016 reports came before the Chicago Mothman story had entered local or national news. Those witnesses had no circulating narrative to borrow from, and it does not account for the specific, consistent physical details reported by witnesses who had no contact with each other prior to filing their accounts. The interdimensional hypothesis, associated most closely with John Keel's broader theoretical framework, proposes that some reported entities do not belong to the biological world in any conventional sense. Under this view, the Mothman and similar figures may manifest at points of intersection between different states of reality. This would explain the absence of physical evidence, the failure of the creature to appear on radar or camera with any consistency, and the way the sightings cluster and then cease without apparent cause. This theory sits far outside mainstream science. It cannot be tested by available methods, but it represents one of the more internally consistent frameworks for addressing what the conventional explanations cannot. A related concept drawn from older folkloric traditions describes certain entities as attached to specific landscapes or events. Under this framework, something was present in Chicago for reasons connected to the city's geography, its waterways, its particular history. It was seen by those who happened to be in the right position at the right moment. The Chicago sightings did not end cleanly. The frequency dropped after the summer and autumn of 2017. But the accounts did not stop entirely. Reports of the creature from 2018 and on have diminished in number, but they have not stopped completely. Chicago is one of the most densely populated cities in the United States. It has some of the busiest airspace in the country directly above it. It has one of the largest urban freshwater coastlines in the world running along its eastern edge. It has a major river system threading through its center. The city is surveilled, lit, trafficked, and monitored continuously. Something moved through it unseen by radar and cameras and almost unseen by its millions of residents. The witnesses who did see it were not looking for it. They were walking dogs, driving trucks, spending afternoons on rooftops, standing at harbor docks, going about the ordinary work of living in a city. And they looked up or they looked across, and what they found looking back at them had no name that satisfied anyone. And they may see it again today, tomorrow, or sometime soon. The Chicago Mothman is still flying somewhere. Subscribe to Paranormal Depths for the strangest and most compelling cases from around the world.